Okay, in this iPad video, we are going to talk about lactation. Okay, and I'm going to try and do this in a bulleted list here. So we've got 4 different hormones that we're talking about. So the first one is progesterone. Okay, and if I was a really good artist, I would draw stuff, but I'm not. So progesterone, I just want you to think of in terms of factories. Okay, this is where it stimulates the production of the factories. Progesterone also inhibits prolactin. Okay, and we're going to talk about prolactin in a minute here, but prolactin is actually what produces the milk. So progesterone causes the factories to be built, but it prevents the factories from actually doing their job. Okay, during pregnancy, progesterone levels are high. Once the baby's delivered, progesterone concentrations decrease, which gets rid of the inhibition. Okay, next is estrogen. Okay, and so estrogen is the delivery system, and what I mean, it stimulates the production of the delivery system. So estrogen will lead to what we call the milk ducts, and so these are essentially the trucks and the highways. Okay, so we've got to get the milk from the factory to the house. Okay, and I guess in this analogy, the baby is the house. What's also great about estrogen is that it stimulates the release of prolactin. Okay. All right, so next we've got prolactin. Okay, so prolactin, its job is create the milk. So this turns factories on. Turn factories on. Okay. It's stimulated, so it's the stimulus for prolactin are twofold. One, it's estrogen, right? So we see that here, as well as the suckling baby. Okay. Sometimes I joke that it's a sucky baby because suckling is just a weird word to say, but we don't have sucky babies, right? All right. And then the last thing is oxytocin. Oops, that's the wrong thing. So oxytocin. Okay, so oxytocin is what delivers the milk. Okay, it's the hormone that stimulates the delivery of milk. So this is like the milkman taking it from the truck to the house, right? Delivery of milk. Okay, and the stimuli for this is a suckling baby or a crying baby. Okay, and as you may or may not be aware, sometimes nursing women, they'll be out somewhere and they'll hear a baby cry, and it might not even be their own baby, and they'll start to have letdown, and so they'll actually start producing milk, and it can be a little difficult. This is why a lot of times nursing women actually have pads in their bras. It's to absorb any milk that leaks out. Okay, and so this is kind of how this process works. So let me try and draw this out in like a schematic form, okay? And so really I'm focusing here on oxytocin and prolactin. So we're going to assume that progesterone's done its job. There are milk factories. Estrogen's done its job. There are the milk ducts and glands, okay? And so now how does this work? Well, it's a positive feedback loop, right? So we're just going to say that we have a suckling baby, or we'll just go with that, okay? And so ultimately what happens is there's 2 things. One, we have increased prolactin, or women have increased prolactin, and they also have increased oxytocin, okay? And so this leads to increased milk production, and this is not something that happens instantaneously. It's not like a woman goes from having no milk to all of a sudden lots of milk. It just there's milk that's there, but it helps produce more when the baby's eating. Okay, and then you've got this, and so what this does is this, we'll just say increases milk volume, which sounds a little weird, but I think you get the idea. Okay, and then what happens with oxytocin is that, helps if I quit tapping wherever I'm tapping, this increases milk release, right? And so honestly, for milk release to happen, this needs to happen as well, okay? So what do you think happens when milk is being released from the nipple? Well, what likely happens is the baby suckles more, right? So we're just going to go increase suckling. Okay. And this leads to a positive feedback loop, right? Okay. And this suckling is actually sensed by mechanoreceptors in the nipple. Okay. And so there you go. And so this is a positive feedback loop. This continues until the baby's full, stops suckling. When you get rid of that stimulus, the mechanoreceptors aren't activated, and so as a result, less prolactin's released, less oxytocin's released, milk production decreases, and there's less milk let down. And so that's a basic overview of lactation.